This is the Parliament Channel and Parliament Radio 105.5 FM.
Good afternoon, members, honorable members. Let's reconvene the Standing Finance Committee meeting, and we'll be dealing with Head 61, Ministry of Housing and Urban Development. Head 61, Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, $1,409,017. No, sorry, my apologies. $1,409,035. I will now invite the Minister of Housing and Urban Development to make a brief opening statement, not exceeding 5 minutes.
Thank you, Deputy Chair, and thank you for this opportunity to make this brief opening remarks as we examine the provisions and the estimates in respect of the housing, in respect of the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development. The ministry's team, headed by the Permanent Secretary, is committed to addressing the issues raised and providing clear and meaningful responses to all concerns, either now or in the shortest possible time. The core responsibilities of the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development are summarized as follows. Functions related to community enhancement, housing, urban development, squatter regularization. The implementing agencies include the Housing Development Corporation, HDC, the East Port of Spain Development Company, the Land Settlement Agency, the Sugar Industry Welfare Committee, the Rent Assessment Board, and the Urban Development Corporation of Trinidad and Tobago, which is a project management company used by government ministries and departments to provide management services. The ministry, the services provided by the ministry are essential to comfortable and healthy living, physical and human growth and development, and for the general development of a modern society. The demand for those services, particularly housing, has grown to almost unmanageable proportions. This growth in demand is most marked at a time when the country faces numerous economic challenges. In this context, we recognize that spending by government should not be a reflex action, but a measured approach to responding to the needs of its population. Notwithstanding the challenges, we intend to meet our obligations, whether statutory or moral. Consequently, we will ensure prompt, meaningful, and effective responses to the needs of our clients. In the process, prudence and value for money will be at the forefront of our guiding principle. We will eliminate wastage, corruption, and mismanagement wherever it exists. Deputy Chair, let me state clearly that it is my government's intention to return to the original values and key principles that drive social housing. In the process, our program will prioritize areas of greatest need and build where houses are needed, whether it's in the north, the south, the east, or the west. In closing, let me state that we intend to make a meaningful impact on the policy objectives outlined by the government, setting and achieving realistic targets. We shall improve the quality and quantity of housing stock and deliver to those most in need affordable houses. Our agencies will ensure meaningful consultation with the people they serve and reflect the views of the public in their operation. And finally, we shall ensure transparency and accountability in all our actions and procedures. I thank you.
Thank you, Madam Minister. Honorable members, the question is that the sum of $1,409,017,035 for Head 61, Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, stand part of the schedule. Honorable members, the sum of $1,409,017,035 for Head 61, Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, is comprised of monies proposed for the expenditure under the following subheads and items to be found in the draft estimates of the recurrent expenditure and the draft estimates of the developmental program. Subhead 01, Personal Expenditure, Item 001, General Administration, and we go to page 369 of the draft estimates, details of estimates of recurrent expenditure, page 369. 01, Personal Expenditure, 001, General Administration. Subhead 02, Goods and Services, Item 001, General Administration. Subhead 03, Minor Equipment Purchases, Item 001, General Administration. Subhead 04, Current Transfer and Subsidies. I'm now on page 373.
Yeah, I just want...
done? Right.
No. This is the number on page 373, number 20, the Education Tower. For that would be of benefit to the Minister of Education as well, because I was waiting for it for about 4 or 5 years. How much needs to be paid?
We have not reached that page as yet.
You haven't reached page 373?
So subhead 04, Current Transfers and Subsidies. Item 009, Other Transfers. Item 0011, Transfer to State Enterprises.
Yeah, that's where I come in.
Right, you can proceed.
The Education Tower, how much of it, in terms of the outfitting, how much of it has been completed and how much has to be done again, and what cost has to be paid for the completion of the outfitting of the Education Tower? What time frame are you looking at?
This is simply an interest payment.
Right. But
So if you want to know about how much interest it is, we could answer that. This is just an interest payment.
Okay, but it's a fit out. No, a fit out.
It's a payment
Interest
on
payment on the
financing.
education tower
It's an
fit out.
interest, it's a financing item.
What I'm fighting for is your Minister of Education should be fighting for that.
What's your
if you want to answer,
question?
that is your business.
It's a financing item, it's an interest payment.
Oropuchis?
Proceed.
Okay. Subhead 06, current transfers to statutory boards and similar bodies. Item 004, statutory bodies. Or Kumuto Manzelina.
Thank you, Chair. Through you to Honorable Minister, just wanted to find out, the Land Settlement Agency, will they be continuing with the program of the, of where persons were drawn to acquire lands? Will that still be continuing? No, I'm just asking.
Yes, I've been advised, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Madam.
Subhead 06, Caroni East.
No, just before you go there, before going to subhead 04 still, I just, no, I want to ask, no, don't go there so far, you move too fast.
Chairman, we
I
are
want to
06.
ask on 04, on page 374,
Where are you?
374 page, on 04, the item number 22, which is the Brian Lara.
Proceed, Caroni East.
Going back?
Proceed.
Proceed. Thank you, Chair. Number 22, the principal payment on the Brian Lara Cricket Academy, which is $49.7 million. Could you say then what is the total payment we have to make for the Brian Lara Cricket Academy? You said the principal payment is of $49.7 million. What's the total amount we have to pay for UDCOT for the Brian Lara Cricket Academy?
Member for Caroni East,
Yes.
if you read the Head 61 properly, you will see that from item 16 to 23, those are new sub-items added. Yes?
16 to 23
And
years.
up to 374, 16
To
all the
23.
way down to 23.
Yes.
Yes, these are new ones added. I think that came in from Ministry of Sport, I believe. Yes, so we'll have to provide you with that particular information. It was not at this ministry before.
All right, so
Get it in writing.
is a new sub-item, okay.
Item 004, statutory bodies.
I'm ready. Yes, just a quick question. Of course, the Land Settlement Agency has been returned to the Ministry of Housing. The $40,992,000 for the Land Settlement Agency, would this include as well expenditure on staff requirements for the landless program? And is that program continuing? Quieter.
You in the corner or what?
Subhead 09, development program. So we now proceed to draft estimates of development program. And we are on page 170. Consolidation fund, item 004, social infrastructure.
Me.
Proceed, Oropuchis.
All right, let me start here now. The 086 page 170, 170 page and 086. The road rehabilitation works in fence line communities. I notice there's no allocation made for this. Now this is really the real work of the agencies in the ministry. Is it that in the coming fiscal there will be no work to assist fence line communities where...
What line item are you on?
I'm on 086.
I know, but what line item?
It is the social infrastructure.
Road rehabilitation works in fence line communities. Okay.
You there? Yeah. I'm asking why no funds at all have been made available for fence line communities road rehabilitation works. That is fundamental. There's a policy in these, in several ministries, in this ministry as well, where when you do heavy construction in an area, invariably you bring roads and drainage and so on into disrepair in surrounding communities that you affect because of your heavy construction, so that we provide an allocation so that the relevant agency will do repairs and assist, so that that reduces the social tension, unrest and so on by villagers surrounding heavy construction projects. Now it has been reduced to nil. What is the reason for this?
I have been advised that that particular work, or those specs, they have been transferred to EMBD.
No. Could I please? The EMBDC would also have a fence line protection policy adopted by their board as a special purpose entity. But the HDC and others as well will also have fence line community policies, so that it is interesting, therefore, that the monies allocated here is zero. If, for example, in a HDC estate, you're going to construct somewhere, you will do some damage in neighboring districts and so on, you'll have no allocation to assist.
Mr. Chairman, the point is noted. The responsibility has been transferred elsewhere. However, we will look at the funding to make sure adequate funds are provided for this.
Sure.
Item 005.
No, hold on. I have several questions. If you could just permit me, so I could exhaust my questions here. The housing estate rehabilitation and maintenance of HDC rental apartment housing units. Now, over the years, in 2014, you'll see here we had expended over 30 million. That went to 1010. Now you have cut that by half. That has been slashed by half. Does the minister believe that this is adequate to undertake rehabilitation and maintenance in the many, many HDC estates across the country, that this figure of $5 million will suffice? This is more in the vicinity of about $75 million. Yes.
Yes, Deputy Chair. I've also been advised that the refurbishment program will be funded by AGC's expected rental income of some $11 million each month. So even though there is a shortfall, we will be able to make up that, the shortfall by using some of the rental income to carry out our refurbishment work in AGC estates across the country.
Member for Carney East.
No, I haven't finished. You are aware, Madam Minister, that HEC could be owed over $100 million in rental income. My next question, again for settlements.
Mr. Chair, I am also aware that the annual income of HEC rentals across the country amount to some 132 million. But I am also aware that there's also an element of delinquency inside of there. Yes?
Yes.
Of just about 30 or just a little over 30%. But I assure you that this administration will be working assiduously to reduce that figure.
Good. The residential lots program at 234.
Pardon me?
$5 million. This is also
residential.
The residential lots program. The land for the landless. You there? The land for the landless program developed by the former administration. In 2016, you have an estimate of $5 million for that. I'm asking you, is this adequate to develop for land development and preparation for the distribution of lots pursuant to the policy of land for the landless? And the deception and the hypocrisy and the mamagai. What mamagai is this? Then the final question. Final question, Minister, from me. Oh, you want to wait for her to? Yeah. And the mamagai.
This one.
The Minister of Finance is disturbing the Finance Committee. Yes, Minister.
Yes.
I'm answering. The next question. Or you
okay, ask the next question.
And if you could just tell me briefly, the increase in the housing opportunity program from 53.9 to 103 million, what more in your scope for that program you anticipate would lead you to such an increase? Yeah?
He's on line item.
For now.
He's on page 170.
The opportunity will not people get opportunity.
What's your problem? We increase it.
Mr. Chair, Deputy Chair, I'm
That is
being
an
confused here, you
absurdity.
know.
You're asking
I'm
about
being
an
confused.
increase.
What questions?
That's an absurd-
Should I proceed to answer my
Members.
questions?
Because you're being
I think the minister should,
Okay, members,
the minister
one
should
sec, hold
stop
on.
his deception and mamagai. The minister should...
Urupuchis, proceed with your questions so that the Minister of Housing can
Housing.
respond.
So what is the housing opportunity program?
Yeah, I don't know why he's jumping up like
Okay,
that.
members.
But I want her attention, otherwise I'll have to repeat again.
Okay.
So let me repeat my repetition.
What is the housing opportunity program?
It was a simple thing. It wasn't anything that big. The mama guy.
Hypocrisy.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, she's getting the information.
Sure.
Important question as to why we've doubled an allocation for housing, and we will get the answer very quickly. Opportunities for housing and housing are different.
Chair.
Well, let's be sure.
If you don't have, you could put it in writing. I mean, it's not that they have to.
They're talking about the residential program as well as
You're not compelled. Tell them put it in writing, man. I want to get to some more important matters.
Minister, I'm sorry, member for Urupuch is that $103 million you see in there. If you turn to page 171, those, what you have there, all the IDB in collaboration with the government of Trinidad and Tobago, you see all those squatter regularization, home improvement, new housing subsidies, etc. from 002, 005, 011, 017. That figure is an amalgam of all these various programs. That is what that $103 million is all about. Right, the total.
Just to correct the Minister of Finance, so the Housing Opportunity Program is really a squatter regularization program, your home improvement grants, your sector institutional strengthening program.
And that's not housing related.
And your design and program
Home improvement
administration.
grants? You're
So
putting
Deputy
things on the
Chairman,
record which are not correct.
I don't
One
know,
honorable member at a
I don't know
time,
how to
please.
proceed.
Members,
Stop putting things on the record that are not correct.
Urupuch East will respond, and then if the Minister of Finance has a reply, we'll entertain. So
Sure.
Urupuch East, please.
So I'm understanding you, Minister of Housing and Urban Development, that is the amalgam of increases for those programs. That is what you're saying. It is not it's not a house construction, a home construction program. I've asked 2-3 questions before, if you have any responses now or you want to commit it in writing. This way. Whether the rehabilitation and maintenance HDC apartments and housing units, whether you believe the $5 million will be adequate.
But I just answered that question, Urupuchis, when I said that the rentals, all right, the monthly rental will be able to take care of the shortfalls. So even though, it had been reduced by $5 million, we'll be able to make up that figure, that deficit, by utilizing our monthly rentals.
So your answer stands for whether it's fence line communities, whether it's rehabilitation and rental upgrade, you will be using rental money.
We will be using it, yes?
Right.
Proceed.
What's next?
Item 234. Urupuchis, you got your answer for 234.
Well, I got a response,
Right.
thank you.
Okay, so I can now proceed to Caroni East.
The same questions I have, my colleague asked them.
Member for Naparima, you still have a question?
Yes, I do.
Okay, kindly proceed, please.
I'm looking at a housing grant and the reduction by from 25 to $9.5 million. And I'm asking that question in the context of what the Minister of Finance told us about how we will continue to strengthen programs and expand programs which we have established and which still exist. And we will review and strengthen the administration of home improvement grants and home improvement subsidy programs, just as families experiencing financial difficulties. And yet we see an inconsistency with the draft. So we want to know if that is a question of mama guy and deception. Again.
Minister of Finance?
Certainly. Apart from the efficiency that will result from cutting out waste, corruption, and mismanagement, if you look lower down,
That's right.
you will see there are new projects, surveys of squatter sites, residential lots program, and there are a number of increases, and the net increase, which was pointed out by our approach East, is the order of 100%. So what this administration has done is simply reallocated its priorities. For example, we're increasing home improvement and housing subsidy from 16 to 25 million. We're increasing squatter regularization from 32 million to 72 million.
Right.
So it's simply a question of reorganizing priorities, which has resulted in a vastly increased allocation to this head. And we're also cutting out corruption, waste, and mismanagement.
Let's proceed. Item 005, multi-sectorial and other services, page 173. Infrastructure Development Fund, item number 004, social infrastructure, page
174. 173.
Yes. 327, and we are in draft estimates for the development program. Still under Ministry of Housing, and we are at Infrastructure Development Fund, item 004, social infrastructure.
Which one is that?
Yeah, go ahead, proceed.
Which one is it? We got.
Sure.
And initiatives, Madam, I notice here, you with me?
Yeah.
I notice here, Invaders Bay Infrastructure Development, you have an allocation. In 2015, there's an allocation. In 2016, there's absolutely no allocation. Could I have an explanation for this in terms of two things? Whether you'll be pursuing this industrial development project, what you anticipate to do, bearing in mind there's no allocation here for the Invaders Bay project.
What page are you on?
400. 412.
We're looking at. We're not on the right.
No, 328.
The Invaders Bay project, item number 001.
Guys, under your record?
Yes.
Yes. And we have no
If you want to commit it in writing, then
yes, I think we better commit this in writing.
writing. So
Yes.
the question is,
For the youth. Yes, I understand your question.
If you could make the
Yes.
commitment that you will put in writing.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, Mr. Deputy Speaker, this project is the subject of tremendous controversy, litigation, accusation, allegation of corruption, waste, and mismanagement. And therefore, we have to look very closely at this project as we go forward.
My next question.
It's very complicated, and we have to be very careful because it's in court and a series of allegations of breaches of the law.
Mr. Deputy.
1 second. Currently Central, quote my eye first. Yeah.
Minister of Finance is concerned about what is put on the record. And while he may be correct about allegations, and while he may be correct about issues, it is the Invaders Bay item.
Members, it's there. It's a line item.
That's right. There is no allegation or issue, as far as I am aware, that has anything to do with corruption, waste, or mismanagement. And I want to make it very clear that the evidence will be available in the documentation in the Ministry of Finance in these same allocation documents of no state funds being expended on this project except for legal fees and for consulting fees for Pricewaterhouse, which is relatively minuscule in the scheme of things.
Right, a response from Minister of Finance.
Thank you very much. If that is so, then perhaps you may be able to explain why there was an allocation of $50 million in 2015. But I can assure you there are many allegations of corruption, waste, and mismanagement with respect to this project. And if you think otherwise, you're dreaming.
I recognize
that, Chair, it is important to clarify that none of that $50 million was spent.
Why was it allocated? Why was it allocated?
It was allocated because of agreements which had to do with responsibilities of the state as opposed to responsibilities of the private sector entities.
About which there are many allegations.
Okay, members,
many allegations.
Members, there are no questions being asked at this time, so I would like to move on to Urupuch East.
Mr. Deputy Chairman, I have accepted the Minister's response that there will be no work and no development at the Invaders.
That is
project.
not true.
I want
that
to
is
move
not
on
what he said, Mr. Chairman.
But I'm asking my question.
He has put a misrepresentation on the record.
Minister of Finance, members,
and I'd like to focus.
Minister of Finance, let Urupuch East complete his question, and then I'll proceed to you, sir.
Mr. Deputy Chairman, at 329, I'm following your direction. Item 230. I consider this the scandal of the year, that in the budget statement, a lot is made about housing, about building more housing, building affordable houses, going back to Legoland-type housing estates, and you have a violent slashing of the housing budget, the accelerated housing program, from $300 million to $160 million.
That's deception.
That is, Mr. Deputy Chairman, that cannot finish one housing project in the Ministry of Housing. This is the end of housing, the collapse of the sector, because that sector is driven by the accelerated housing program. In 2014, $650 million was expended. And today, when they have violently slashed the budget to $160 million, it means that in 2 to 3 months or less, the housing sector that contribute in no small measure to construction activity, to employment, to economic growth and income distribution, that sector will collapse by Christmas 2015. And I want to ask the Minister of Housing whether the minister is convinced that $160 million is sufficient. What do you intend to do with $160 million in the housing sector for fiscal 2016? And I'm not prepared to accept the cliche about waste, corruption, and mismanagement. That doesn't have a place when you come to the social infrastructure, to housing. And we have promised 100 homes a week. Not one has been distributed since September 7th.
May I?
Mr. Deputy, Mr. Deputy,
5 minutes.
I have 5 minutes.
Yes, 5 minutes.
And I have 4 more left.
Question.
Continue, Urupuch.
So my question to the Minister of Housing is to explain to the Finance Committee what the ministry expects to do with $160 million, and also bearing in mind the Minister of Finance has declared that the borrowing limits have been met. He cannot borrow money to finance the housing construction program anymore. Is this the end of housing and the housing sector?
Proceed, Minister of Finance.
Chairman, he asked the same question 3 times.
Right, give the answers.
And, you know, we have been saddled with over $3 billion in contracts entered into by the former ministry under the former minister without any cabinet approval and without any source of funds. We are also on this side very concerned about the fact that the cost of a house has doubled under the tenure of the former minister. And therefore, And therefore, since the 2015 revised estimate was 300 million, we have allocated 160 million, and the minister will do a review, especially of those billion-dollar contracts that were entered into just before the general election. And at the end of the minister's review, then we will look at this again. But we cannot continue like this with a rogue ministry entering into contracts of billions of dollars without any source of funds.
Member for Tobago.
Mr. Chairman, in light of the question asked by the Honourable Member for Puch East, in terms of the violent slashing of the housing budget, the question is this: in the light of the need for housing, does the minister have any plans to incentivize the private sector to provide housing to the population on an accelerated basis?
No money.
If the minister is saying that there is no money and has $3 billion, the private sector has money, private sector has land, is there any plan to incentivize this sector?
Yes, sure. Member for Tabakit, this is something that we will be looking at and certainly will be evaluating. But I note with care that earlier this year, the former government had an agreement, signed an agreement with Republic Bank with respect to the same public-private partnership. And when I look at the terms of the agreement, believe me, I am very, very, very concerned. And whilst I think that there are indeed opportunities, I think that we should tread cautiously. And it's something that we can look at.
Member for Siparia.
Under the same item, line item 230, accelerated housing program, I heard you say earlier that you were using rental income to make up where certain items, shortfalls in certain items. Would that be used there as well?
I didn't say for all. A specific question, member for Siparia, was asked. And that was with respect to, that's right, the repairs and maintenance of HDC estates.
So you will use rental income?
And I quoted the figure. I said that the ministry collects approximately $11 million a month re-rental. And where there was this shortfall by some 5 million, we will make it up from there. That's what I said. But I never said it was supposed to be for construction. That's right.
Well, following up on that then, is the ministry then allowed to keep rental income? How I understand it, rental income will go into the revenue, into the consolidated fund as property income.
No. It's earned by the HDC.
And kept by the HDC.
It's a statutory corporation. Of course, that's their income. No, you're quite right. That's one thing that doesn't require cabinet approval. But those billion-dollar contracts that you did not alert your leader to, those require cabinet approval.
Member for Siparia.
Thank you. Line item 0.
Member for Siparia.
001 urban redevelopment. $15 million allocated for 2016. Would the minister kindly share with us what is this? How are the projects to be determined? Which projects are to fall under this $15 million of urban redevelopment 2016? It seems to be a new item.
Thank you. Yes, it is. It's the East Port of Spain Development Company that has been placed under the Ministry of Housing. And the funds will be allocated to be used to do the following, I can tell you. Renovation works, Spaniards, community enhancement projects that include roads, drainage, steps, other access routes, latrine eradication program. That's right. Children's Play Park and upgrade to community recreation facilities. So that allocation is for East Port of Spain Development Company, which is a new item, a new unit under the Ministry of Housing.
Urban
Thank you.
Redevelopment. And
honorable members, the question is that the sum, or you still continue?
Page 330. We have page 330.
Yeah, we have more.
We have more. Next page.
Okay. I note at page 330 under the item 003, which is the last item on the page, the construction of the Couva Children's Hospital, no allocation has been made in 2016. Is this page 330?
Because the
What does it mean? No allocation has been made in 2016, and I'm asking why? Is it that the hospital construction is complete?
Well, you opened it.
I'm asking you, Minister, you're in charge now.
Well, I assume that you opened a complete
Honourable Minister,
building.
through you, Line Minister, can the Line Minister answer? There is no allocation, and I'm asking, does it mean that the construction is
Let me
complete?
answer that. Mr. Deputy Chairman, my understanding is that this project was being financed through a government-to-government loan facility with the Chinese government. And therefore, there would not normally be no obligation on the part of the Trinidad and Tobago government to finance the construction of this hospital. And since the...
Let him finish, please.
Why are you getting on like this?
It's totally incorrect.
That you are, so, all right, you could say that if you wish. But my understanding is that this project is being financed by the Chinese government.
Sir?
Honourable Member
Was that
Superior.
may be true, Chairman, was that may be true?
May be true is true.
Was that may be true, and we take him at his word. We see 2014.
Hospitals.
2014.
Members.
Hospital.
One member at a time, please. Honourable Member for Superior.
2014, an allocation was made of 130 million.
That's right.
2015, an allocation estimated at 140 million. Revised in 2015 at 109 million, plus 109.2. And then in 2016, nothing. So that the minister's explanation that this would have been built with funding through the Chinese government, which is true, we take that word.
True now. You remember?
Can we
Members-
please be allowed to complete?
Honourable members, let me just make a statement, please. One person at a time will address the chair, and then individuals will have the opportunity to respond. Kindly
you.
proceed, Honourable
The
Minister.
question is-
Honourable Member.
Thank you, Chair. Deputy
Perhaps,
Chair.
Chair, I can provide
No,
a
please.
response.
The Minister has
One second, let's let her
indicated,
finish, please.
Minister has indicated that it was funded by the Chinese government, and therefore, no allocation. It's trying to explain the no allocation in 2016. By virtue of that, I've pointed out that in the estimates every year, it is shown in these estimates, which is 14, 15, an allocation has been made. So the question still remains, why no allocation in 2016?
Now, Mr. Deputy Chairman, I really find that we're just going around in circles. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition was the Prime Minister that promoted this project, secured the financing from the Chinese government, cut the ribbon, opened the hospital with great fanfare just before the election. So it's just wrong for the Honourable Leader of the Opposition to say or pretend that she does not know. Now, the fact is this project, if you are paying attention, has been transferred to the Ministry of Health. And I think we now need to investigate, since this project was supposed to be fully funded by the Chinese, why the government of Trinidad and Tobago was spending money on this project. And I can assure you there will be an investigation into that. But if you want to know what has happened to the allocation, it's gone to the Ministry of Health.
And added to
About
that,
10 minutes ago.
Honourable Minister, Honourable Minister,
Pick up health now and see.
Honourable Minister of Finance, added to that, the question also was, is the building completed?
I am shocked that the person who cut the ribbon and opened the building with great fanfare before the election would ask me that question. I will have to investigate that as well and find out why the Honourable Leader of the Opposition opened this building with great fanfare and is now asking whether it's complete or not. When I get over my befuddlement and my astonishment, I will investigate.
Question remains unanswered, sir.
Why is he so
The
garrulous?
minister, he's
He's so
secondly,
garrulous.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman.
Honourable Minister, will the question be placed in writing, please?
I will most certainly give the results of the investigation
you said it was-
as to why the Honourable Leader of the Opposition opened that building and is now asking if it's complete or not. That will be put in writing, the results of that investigation.
You see this rubber talk and gun talk? It will get you very far. Through you, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Madam, was that a question?
With respect to the hospital, I am asking a question. I have not completed what I'm saying.
You want to know about robbers and
so, still under the same item, with respect to the hospital, the question was asked whether it is complete. In this budget debate, it was made out by the other side that the hospital was opened incomplete, the hospital would be done in phases and so on, and that's why the query is there. So I await the investigation and the answer. I await the report in writing, sir.
So that wasn't a question.
Investigation.
Madam Deputy Chairman, that wasn't a question.
No, sir.
That was a statement. So I can't make a statement now.
A statement on your hypocrisy.
No.
So the other side could make statements, I
You've
can't.
been doing that all day.
No question was asked, Honorable Minister.
So therefore, a statement was allowed to be put on the record.
28.
And we on this side can't respond to that.
Proceed, Honorable Minister.
I am assuring this Parliament we will find out why that building was opened and whether it was complete or not, and we'll advise the national population through the medium of this Parliament.
There be no further questions. Honorable members, the question is that the sum of $1,409,017,035 for Head 61, Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, stand part of the schedule. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. I think the ayes have it. The sum of $1,409,017,035 for Head 61, Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, now stands part of the schedule. We will now proceed to Head 37, Integrity Commission. I would also like to thank the Minister of Housing and Urban Development and her technical team or technocrats from the ministry. Thank you for coming, and do have a good evening. Thank you. So as we change, we'll move on to Integrity Commission, Head 37. Head 37, Integrity Commission.
Yes, they're coming.
Members, we on draft estimates, details of estimates of recurrent expenditure, and we'll be proceeding to page 268. Page 268, Integrity Commission, Head 37.
Commissioner or a handover?
Welcome to the Integrity Commission technocrats. Thanks for coming. And we proceed now, members. Head 37, Integrity Commission. Head 37, Integrity Commission, $19,822,600. I will now invite the Minister of Finance to make a brief opening statement, not exceeding 5 minutes.
I would most certainly take less than 5 minutes. The Integrity Commission is a creature of the Integrity in Public Life Act and has as its responsibilities the examination of declarations filed by persons in public life and the investigation of reports of irregularities and impropriety within the state system.
Honorable members, the question is that the sum of $19,822,600 for Head 37, the Integrity Commission, stand part of the schedule. Honorable members, the sum of $19,822,600 for Head 37, the Integrity Commission, is comprised of monies proposed for expenditure under the following subheads and items to be found in the draft estimates of recurrent expenditure. We now proceed. 01, personal expenditure. 001, General Administration, and we are at page 268. (02) Goods and Services, 001, General Administration, 03, Minor Equipment Purchases, 001, General Administration, 09, Development Program, which will be the other booklet, Draft Estimates of Development Programs, and we go to page 121. 005, Multi-sectoral and other services. Honorable members, Caroni East.
Administrative Services 01 and 02. Those are new projects on the, for the Integrity Commission. That's the drafting of whistleblower protection legislation and reform of the Integrity Commission. Those are new items on them, right?
These allocations were put in by the Ministry of Finance. It's part of the manifesto, it's part of the budget statement that we intend to implement a system of whistleblower protection. So that's what this is for.
So that's
whistleblower protection
legislation.
A whistleblower is somebody who blows the whistle on corrupt activities. This should have been in place for the last 5 years. A whistleblower is somebody who reveals corrupt activities. This should have been here for 5 years.
001.
You want to be flippant about it? You can be. You can be flippant. Mr. Deputy Chairman, I've been asked a question. I will answer it. The funds are for drafting of legislation. It's there in black and white. It's there in black and white.
Honorable members, any further questions?
What type of majority?
Right. Honorable members, the question is that the sum of $19,822,600 for head 37. Members, I am speaking. For head 37, the Integrity Commission stand part of the schedule. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. I think the ayes have it. The sum of $19,822,600 for head 37, the Integrity Commission, now stands part of the schedule. Members, thank you all. Thank you, members of the Integrity Commission technical team. Thanks for coming, and do enjoy the rest of the evening. We will now proceed to head 08, Elections and Boundaries Commission, and I'll just give 2 minutes in order for the technical team and the Minister of Finance to assess. We'll now be going to draft estimates, details of estimates of recurrent expenditure, and we'll be proceeding to page 40, Head 08, Elections and Boundaries Commission. Okay, thanks for coming. Welcome. Right. Head 08, Elections and Boundaries Commission. Page 40. Head 08, Elections and Boundaries Commission, $102,653,200. I will now invite the Minister of Finance to make a brief opening statement for no more than 5 minutes.
The Election and Boundaries Commission is an independent commission who has as its responsibility, the management of the conduct of elections in Trinidad and Tobago.
Honorable members, the question is the sum of $102,653,200 for Head 08 Elections and Boundaries Commission stand part of the schedule. Honorable members, the sum of $102,653,200 for Head 08 Elections and Boundaries Commission is comprised of monies proposed for expenditure under the following subheads and items to be found in the draft estimates of recurrent expenditure and the draft estimates of the development program. I now proceed to subhead 01, personal expenditure, item 001, general administration. I recognize the honorable member for Siparia.
Election expenses. I note that election expenses for 2015, in which a general election was held, is less than election expenses projected and allocated for 2016 by 100% increase, and we would like to know why that may be
I'm a
so.
little lost there. Look at the revised estimates, and you'll see the 2016,
2 million.
2016 estimate and
I have
revised.
guided, Honourable Minister.
They're
2 million.
They're identical. No, it's almost the
Yeah.
same. It's only
Yeah.
$1,000 difference, $11,000 difference. But I must say,
5 million on 2015.
no, look at the bottom
sorry.
line. It's 98,411 and 98,400. Just $11,000 difference.
Sure.
But I want to make a point though. The EBC had requested 164 and spent 98, and this is something we'll have to look at. Go back to their request of 2015 and see whether maybe they're carrying bills over, or whether this 164 was justified, to see whether we need to supplement their allocation. The fact is that the 2016 and the 2015 revised are identical, but there is something we'll need to look at.
Lawyers in 2016.
Carney East.
Chair, Deputy Chair, could we get an understanding from the Minister of Finance, who is the person that we have to ask the questions to because it's an independent institution, whether this increase in expenditure will incur a deep introspection?
There's no increase. It's identical.
Well, no, but look, you have on the column here
It's $11,000 and 98 million.
All right, whether it's an increase, that's immaterial. The question I want to ask is
The allocation.
the allocation, whether that includes a deep introspection and an analysis and cleaning out of the EBC list because of the questions that have been asked from time to time, that the election list contains a list of names of a number of people who are already dead
Or
out of the country. And so when we look at, say that it is a 1.013 million on the EBC list, many attempts have been made in terms of saying that that list is not in fact so, and there are people who are dead and people who are out of the country on that list, and whether that is going to facilitate the EBC to do its proper work to clean up that list, and so that we will have a proper list in the future at election time.
Honorable Minister of
Mr.
Finance.
Deputy Chairman, I'd love to answer that question if it was associated with a line item. Could you direct me to which line item?
Yes, that is associated with the line item election expenses.
Where's
and the
this?
list,
What page?
Page
4002,
4002.
election expenses.
And so it could include the other line item over 03, which is overtime. And if we
Election
give it overtime, we should give overtime to people who can help in that. And it is an easy thing, Mr. Chairman. All they have to do is to look at the Ministry of Legal Affairs and the list of the death certificates over the last 10 years, match those versus the names that are on the list, because they will have the amount of people who are dead.
He is not addressing the line item.
I'm asking the question.
Honorable members,
I have 5
honorable
minutes to
member
ask.
5 minutes.
To ask on
Right.
a line item.
I can't
On
ask a question
line
in 5
item.
minutes. I have to
You
give
can't
a
talk about
preface
the
to my
world, the
question.
moon, and the sun and the stars.
I have
The
to give
Honourable
a
Minister,
preface to my
proceed.
question.
Member for Karen.
Not irrelevant at all. It's very relevant to a proper understanding of the
02,
democracy and the
03 overtime?
transparency as far as
Which line
election
item
is
are you
concerned.
on?
I gave you the line item
Overtime?
already. Are you deaf?
Overtime?
Members,
Election expenses.
Overtime?
honourable members, honourable
No,
members,
Mr. Deputy Chairman,
member for Caroni East
I am
and
referring-
honourable Minister of Finance.
there's a line item.
I gave him the line item.
Right, he has identified the line item, Mr. Minister, and he's given an explanation and asking a question.
And if he wouldn't be so rude to be disrupting me all the time in my trend of thought.
Proceed, members on both sides.
By the way, Mr.
Members
Deputy
on
Chairman,
both sides.
he uttered some very pejorative language just now. I would ask you to ask him to withdraw that.
What withdraw?
He said I was blind and
I'm
deaf.
asking you a question.
No, Mr. Deputy
Members,
It's a
Chairman.
question.
You
Honourable
must have
members.
decorum here.
Honourable
Must have
members, honourable members, let's ensure that we maintain the decorum of the House.
Sure.
All right, I am asking the honourable member for Caroni East to continue. Make your question and let's get on with the business of the
Mr.
land.
Chair,
please.
there have been statements across the country from election to election that the EBC list is not a clean and accurate list of the citizenry who are eligible to vote.
Correct.
And years upon years, I have been associated with the politics from since 1994, Mr. Chairman. 21 years, I was elections officer of the United National Congress for 2 general elections and 3 local government elections. We spoke to the chairman of the EBC on many occasions, Mr. Karim, myself, Mr. Marks. We went to the EBC indicating time and time again that EBC list has names of people who are no longer alive. And it has names of people who have migrated out of the country and who are not here living for at least 5 years. And all I'm asking,
Honourable Minister of Finance is coming to the question.
Yeah.
I'm asking whether money will be spent under election
Chairman, he start
expenses
up again?
over
He's
time.
finishing the question, I was just drawing your attention.
Whether money will be spent to do a cleaning of that list so that Trinidad and Tobago could get an accurate list of voters for any election to come. Thank you very much.
So, Honourable Minister, are any monies identified in the budget to clean up the electoral list?
No, Mr.
That's the
Deputy
question.
Chairman, I am having a problem here. I asked what line item this was. I was referred to page 40, 002, 03, overtime. And the question has to be framed in the context of that line item.
All right.
And I kept asking the member to identify and explain how a house-to-house field survey could possibly be associated with the overtime item.
I can give the answer to that.
And I was prevented from making this point. I would like to know how the member expects that a house-to-house survey could be covered under the overtime vote. Explain that.
I can answer that.
Honourable Minister, so the direct question that was asked is whether it is monies have been allocated to clean up the electoral list.
On this item. It has to be on this item.
Yes.
It can't be on every item.
Therefore, could you give an answer then?
And the point I was making is that the member made all sorts of remarks, but what this has proven is that he has no understanding of the system of allocation.
Honourable member.
And Mr. Deputy Chairman, there is no way that the...
You're hypocritical again.
Members, honourable members,
Mr. Deputy
member for
Chairman.
Caroni East,
Yes.
please.
Mr. Deputy
Please.
Chairman, what is happening here is that the member is making a speech about matters that have no relationship to this line item. And he cannot ask me a question about some other item and try and bring it under this item. And for the record, this is overtime. And this is overtime expenses that will be incurred by workers at the EBC during an election, when they're working beyond normal working hours, they're working on Saturday, they're working on Sunday during an election. And this could not possibly be the line item for a house-to-house survey to clean up the list.
Right. Honourable members, the answer is no. I proceed to member for
The answer is
Tabakit.
no, you have not used any money
Member for Tabakit.
for overtime.
Mr. Chairman, we're under goods and services,
$3 million.
right? Just clarify, under goods and services.
02.
Right. So there are two items I want to tackle.
I'll come back to that.
On page 41, item contract employment, which is number 16. And on the following page, and also you have short-term employment, number 22. Okay? And then on the following page, under election expenses, you have short-term employment, 22 again. Under any of these items, these three items, are there any monies there included for a cleaning up of the election lists and the hiring of personnel for doing that?
Right. Honourable Minister, on page 41, line item 16, contract employment, also line item 22, short-term employment, on the same page, and then we proceed to page 42, line item short-term employment. And the question is whether any monies are allocated under these items for cleaning up the electoral list.
Mr. Deputy Chairman, I might say on the outset, I find it passing strange that members who have been in government for 5 years are all of a sudden fascinated with cleaning up a list that they should have allocated funds for during the period that they were in government. But be that as it may, the house-to-house survey that is required to clean the list, as it were, the last time that was done was in 2000. And Mr. Deputy Chairman, everybody over there is just muttering and mumbling. I would ask, Mr. Deputy Chairman, I can answer the question, but I cannot do so if there's a barrage of crosstalk on that side. I'm asking you to ask honourable members opposite, since they're fascinated with this, could they please allow me to speak without interruption?
You can proceed.
You said
Honourable Minister. Members, Carney East, please. Go ahead, Honourable Minister of Finance.
Yes, Mr. Yes, Mr.
Honourable Member for Carney East, please, I'm hearing you also.
Yes, Mr. Deputy Chairman. Firstly, let me say no funds were allocated in the last 5 years to do that activity. In this fiscal year, since that activity requires considerable forward planning, the EBC has been given funds to do limited field checks. I can assure you, since we are extremely interested in doing the necessary national survey to clean up the list, which we had hoped that the other side would do, we would be giving the EBC the necessary funds after they have done their necessary planning. But this involves examination of approximately 1 million registered voters. And it is not something that will be done by VAPs. So I can assure you that within our term, we will be giving the EBC the necessary funds to do a national house-to-house comprehensive survey, as was done in 2001, to clean up the voters list. But for this year, they have funds under these items to do limited field verification.
Honourable Member
Mr. Chairman, that begs the question. Doesn't the EBC, as an institution, aren't they obligated so as to ensure fair and democratic elections, that on a continuous basis of updating, that they will have a continuous plan and a program for updating and clean up their lists? Why is the minister now saying that they're being given money for a limited intervention, when this, I presume, should have been a continuous program of updating that the EBC will have as part of its activities?
And that's in reference to the same three-line items you just identified.
Which item are you on? This will be contract employment.
I'm asking that, sorry, Mr. Chairman, I'm asking a direct response to what the minister answered.
What line item?
The same three-line item.
Contract employment, what's the other two?
Short-term employment.
Short-term employment, contract employment, what's the third one?
Contract employment again. Short-term, 2 short-term and 1 contract.
2 short-term. Okay.
On page 41, items 16 and 22. And on page 42, item 22.
Page 42.
My question is very simple. Does the EBC have a continuous program for updating its list as part of its responsibility?
Honorable Finance Minister.
I just wanted to be clear on which line items we are talking about, because this exercise is the examination of the heads of expenditure. So now that you've asked whether under head 02, 001, 16 and 0 and 22, 001, 22, and you are telling me that over the page, this would be 002, which we haven't reached
22.
yet, I assume. We haven't reached that yet. 22, you're asking whether there is funding allocated to do the national survey. Let me just state at the outset, no funding was allocated over the last 5 years to do a national survey. A national survey is not done every year. That would be a pointless exercise. The time has come. The time has come to do a national survey. The EBC has been given the same level of funding in 2016 that was given by the former government in 2015, notwithstanding the fact that there's no general election in 2016. However, I am making a commitment on behalf of the PNM government that we will do what the UNC did not do and give the EBC the funds to do a national house-to-house survey. And as I said, these things are not done by VAPs, they're not done every year, and the EBC will be planning to do its house-to-house survey in fiscal 2016, and we will give them the funds to do it in fiscal 2017.
Honorable Member for Tabakit.
I repeat a very important question. A very important question. Bear with me. This is of national importance. Doesn't the EBC have as part of its continuing planning and programming the continuous updating of its lists? That's the question I'm asking. Is that part of the normal function of the EBC, or do we only have to wait for a national survey?
What line item are you referring to?
Member for Tabakit.
You have to refer to a line item.
Minister, with due respect, you're trying to be cute.
No, Mr. Deputy Chairman, they are really becoming very insulting.
Honorable members.
What line item are you referring to?
Honorable member for Tabakit. Your question you're asking in relation to staffing.
What line item? 16, 22, those are the two. Contract employment.
Mr. Chair.
But does it relate directly to staffing, honorable members?
Yes,
That's employment for people who can do the work.
Okay, hold on. Is the allocation being made here for short-term employment, for contract employment? Does it include work to be done and continuous updating of EBC lists?
Simple question. Simple question.
I wish the honorable leader of the opposition had intervened long ago. The answer is yes.
Thank you. All right, so we will now proceed, honorable members.
Why didn't you intervene before? Why did
Superior, your turn now, honorable member.
Page 41, item 23, fees. And I see we have an increase of 163,000, so a total of 263,000. Do these fees include legal fees to be paid to lawyers? Well, legal fees to lawyers for matters before the court?
Page 41, line item.
41, line item
23.
Fees. Of course, it's fees, but they're going to pay the lawyers. That must be the reduced fees, yeah?
I'm advised that this item is for fees paid to the Registrar of Births and Deaths for extracting the information required for the continuous updating of the voters list, and for legal fees as and when required. And I can say that I looked at the evolution of the list in 2015, and I did see people who were deceased in my own constituency coming off the list shortly after their deaths were recorded in the Births and Deaths Registry. So I must compliment the EBC for that.
Right. Thank you, honorable member. Subhead.
Did you say yes to the second? The fees does?
No, I did say that It includes,
registrar.
it includes fees to the registrar of births and deaths for the continuous updating of the list and for legal fees as and when they are required.
Right. Subhead 03, minor equipment purchases, item number 001, general administration. Subhead, members, I'm moving on. Subhead 09, development program, consolidated fund, and we now move over to the development program booklet, and we are on page 12. Page 12, Head 08, Elections and Boundaries Commission. Consolidated fund, item number 005, multi-sectoral and other services. Infrastructure Development Fund, item number 005, multi-sectoral and other services. And we now go to page
and 13. On page 12, sir, we see multi-sectoral other services, total translated onto page 13. Okay, I withdraw my query. Thank you.
Query, right. Right, so we now move on to item 005, multi-infrastructure development fund, item number 005, multi-sectoral and other services, and we proceed to page 278 of the draft estimate of the development program.
What you have there?
Okay, thank you. Honorable members, the question is the sum of $102,653,200 for Head 08, Election and Boundaries Commission, stand part of the schedule. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. I think the ayes have it. The sum of $102,653,200 for Head 08, Elections and Boundaries Commission, now stands part of the schedule. Thank you, members from the Election and Boundaries Commission. Thanks for your time. Thanks for your presence, and do enjoy the rest of your evening. We will now proceed to Head 07, Statutory Authority Service Commission. And this is the last schedule that we'll be doing today. Statutory Authorities Service Commission. Honorable members, we are in draft estimates, details of estimates of recurrent expenditure, and we are on page 36. I must also now take time to say, honorable members, that as the deputy chairman, please respect the chair. Right? Somehow after lunch, we were getting a lot of crosstalk and the decorum was getting a little out of hand. Whoever is sitting in the chair acts as the chairman of the committee. So please offer a little more respect, please. Thank you. We are on the last schedule for the day. I know we had a long day, right? And let's move on. Welcome, madam. Head 07, Statutory Authorities Service Commission, $6,061,200. I will now invite the Minister of Finance to make a brief opening statement, not exceeding 5 minutes.
To the Minister of Public Administration.
Minister of Public Administration, sorry.
Thank you again, Mr. Deputy Chair, for the opportunity to appear before this committee to answer questions on recurrent expenditure as it pertains to the budgetary allocations for the Statutory Authorities Service Commission. The Statutory Authorities Service Commission derives its mandate from the Statutory Authorities Act and regulations. The Commission is responsible for providing the human resources of the statutory authorities, appointing persons whose remuneration is on a monthly basis in pensionable offices, providing for promotion of officers and their confirmation as appropriate, and exercising disciplinary control over all officers through discussions, warnings, suspensions, fines, and dismissals. At present, there are a number of authorities under the purview of the Commission, and they are the Agricultural Society of Trinidad and Tobago, the ARIMA Corporation, the National Lotteries Control Board, the Point Fortin Corporation, the Port of Spain Corporation, the San Fernando City Corporation, the St. Dominic's Children's Home, the St. Jude's School for Girls, the St. Michael's School for Boys, the Sugar Industry Labor Welfare Committee, the Zoological Society of Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Chair, for the opportunity to make these few introductory remarks.
Honorable members, the question is the sum of $6,061,200 for Head 07 Statutory Authorities Service Commission stand part of the schedule. Honorable members, the sum of $6,061,200 for Head 07 Statutory Authorities Service Commission is comprised of monies proposed for expenditure under the following subheads and items to be found in the draft estimates of the recurrent expenditure. We now proceed to subhead 01, Personal Expenditure, item 001, General Administration, on page 36. Subhead 02, Goods and Services. Member for Faizabat.
Reference to sub-item 08, rent, lease, office accommodation and storage. I note an increase. Sorry, I note a decrease here of 901,270. Is that, can the Minister perhaps explain that? 08, yeah.
08, rent, lease.
Because the department is no longer relocating to new accommodation. That is the Goodwood building.
Right, subhead 03. She want to cease?
Can I ask a question on 02?
Sure.
Line item 28, other contracted services, which has been slashed by a significant amount, 377,000, almost 378. Could the Minister indicate what would have caused this, please?
Yes. Minister of Finance?
I can answer, or the Minister can answer. Because the Statutory Authority Service Commission is no longer relocating to this building, there is no longer a requirement for outfitting. So that's why contracted services has gone down.
Subhead 03, Minor Equipment Purchases, item 001, General Administration. Honorable members, the question is that the sum of $6,061,200 for Head 07 Statutory Authorities Service Commission stand part of the schedule. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. I think the ayes have it. The sum of $6,061,200 for Head Statutory Authority Service Commission now stands part of the schedule. Thank you. Thank you, Madam, for attending this afternoon. Do enjoy the rest of the evening. Honorable members, we have now come to the conclusion of our Standing Finance Committee for today, Saturday the 17th of October 2015. However, we still have some schedules to complete, which, as far as I understand, must be completed by Monday.
Mr. Chairman, we did say if time permitting, we can examine the office of the Prime Minister. Is the Prime Minister in the building and available?
Mr. Chairman.
Honorable member, that was not said.
Exactly.
So that was not said.
But we have some extra time now. Is he available?
Honorable member.
Let's proceed then, Monday.
Right, we need to resume on Monday. And according from a note from the leader, honorable members, Honorable members, and a note from the
telling
leader of government
untruths.
is that we resume on 1:30 on Monday in order to continue the business of the Standing Finance Committee. Right? And according to the schedule, we still have the Judiciary, Environmental Commission, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Planning and Development, Ministry of Public Utilities, Registration, Recognition and Certification Board, Ministry of Labor and Small Enterprise Development, Ministry of Communications, Parliament, Ministry of Social Development and Family Services, Ministry of the Attorney General and Legal Affairs, the Ministry of Health, honorable members, Personal Department, Ministry of Tourism, Ministry of Community Development, Culture and Arts, and Ministry of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs. Those schedules have to be completed.
Can I just
and also Office of the Prime Minister.
Can I just seek some clarification?
Sure.
If the examination of the first few heads, Mr. Deputy Chairman,
Sure.
if the examination of the first few heads drags on and we approach the appointed time of 8 o'clock and we run out of time, what will be the procedure?
No, we won't.
That's my understanding. The question will be put. The question will be put. Am I correct?
1 second.
You all wasted time. No, you in charge. Not us. We are not in charge. You're in charge of this. You set the priorities. You're in charge, not us.
Okay. According to the standing orders, the work must be completed by 7:50 on Monday, the 19th
Very
of
nice.
October, 2015.
And therefore you will put the question at the appropriate time.
At the appropriate time.
Thank you very much,
Right?
Mr. Deputy
Monday,
Chair.
7:50. Right, so members, at 1:30 p.m. on Monday, the 19th October 2015, we will resume the Standing Finance Committee meeting. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you.